want one or two over there?
Thank you. Or do you want,
You want one out there?
just, yep.
Does Kathy Mosman want one?
No, I don't need one. I have to sit there and be quiet.
Are you in the hot seat there?
Then we need,
Yeah, just two more.
I like,
Oh, no, one more.
I think two more out there. That's all. Just one?
Yep, that one. Well, I guess we could do two. We have enough.
How are you?
I am not okay with that.
Speaking of which, I stole.
You like dapper tonight?
We're full-time missionaries.
Yeah, I've heard that.
My sweet wife and I.
I will say that I've been told that.
Watching, I was like,
Not a lot of rain.
wait a second,
Since Saturday night.
I did not know that.
Glad it was
I knew they did dinner, but I didn't know all the ways, Maine. That was really cool. All the ways, Maine. That was really cool.
Yeah, he thoroughly enjoyed it.
I took a picture of a bunch of people that I kept seeing, and I was like, I see people, I was like, is this you?
So I guess Carolyn is not feeling good.
That was really cool. They did such a good job.
Yeah, that was the whole, and they did that, and then 2 weeks later, they shut everything down with COVID, so they barely squeaked that one in.
Good. Worth it. I watched that one, and then I watched chess, because I love chess.
Yeah, that was an interesting show. I'd never seen it before. But
Yeah. There's one with a bunch of famous people that is just so good. I love that show.
is that the one that, now Josh Groban, I've seen that one before. Is that the
Yeah,
one?
that's the one, yep.
6 of these?
No. Pascal and Adele Dazeem, Adina Menzel.
I know, I brought my
Wasn't that-
cute ones.
John Travolta or something? Yeah.
That's what I call her. I just joke and call her that.
Good evening.
Is every little body? Good, good. Like you're coming from your assignment?
Well, we're supposed to go like this, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I work for the grocery store. We're still getting used to protocol, you know. So, I sort of wear my badge, but I'm not.
For that addendum
Yeah.
for item 11.
Oh, that's right. You started already, or? Yes, we've been about 3 weeks.
What a great calling.
Yeah. Oh, we're so excited.
That place with the house or the main office is my home church, the one my Creekside.
Oh, really?
Because you're Orem.
That part of it is the mission home.
Yeah, that was the high council room forever, and then they adjusted.
Michael.
That's a good place.
Jensen's applying to work for the TSA, and you put your name down as contact.
Perfect.
So,
I will give him great.
What a real friend does.
he's excited.
Yeah, no, I can
What is he
imagine.
wanting to do?
He's just gonna be airport security, checking in bags and whatnot.
Maybe 3 weeks ago, I'd like to.
Free flights everywhere.
We'll see. They just sent him a thing saying, okay, you've gone through the first.
Yes, I've got a
I
wretched,
don't feel well, so
I have a wretched cold, so I'm keeping my distance, yes.
hitting my vitamin C very hard today anyway. So
Yes. Very good.
But if he gets it, they have to fly him to Georgia for 2 weeks to train. TSA Academy.
Sanitized it.
Hey, Jake, how are you? Hey, how are you? Yeah, if they call, I'll give you.
Randy, you look good there.
Yeah, pro tem, huh? You haven't been pro tem since then, in the meeting?
Since Mayor Dang.
Wow, wow. Beautiful things here.
We've got 2 more minutes, and we are live right now. So, but I've got our mics on.
Very good. All in order.
Hey, I saw it on
well,
the agenda, and I was like,
got that bone, but other than that, have a turkey to cook it, have a turkey. That'll get done.
Doing turkey on for Christmas, huh?
Well, I'm just doing it Thursday to be smorgasbord style on Saturday.
He pulled a fast one after we adjourned, he said, by the way. So we didn't get to, thank you.
Is that all there is it?
Was that number 11? I have my whole one here, I'm sorry. Yeah, and let me forward you this. Yeah, the evidence custodian position job.
For the one that you wanted to do?
No, not for the custodian.
For like a trial run for your lifeguard?
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that one,
Yeah.
it's already booked.
Actually,
Oh, it's the 20th.
actually this, agenda that.
But I'm talking.
No, that's it. That's it, job reclassification. Okay, just, I'll forward you this email. Or do you want me to go hurry and print it?
No, just forward it to me. Can you do it to my baby members? Baby members, yes. Okay, we've got about one more minute. I'll wait till Mike gets in. Thank you so much. Okay,
Long time no see, Mike.
Good.
Juan, could I ask you to say the pledge?
Hi, Alicia.
Mike, if you'll take a seat, we'll go ahead and get started.
Did, yeah, about the vaccine.
Mike, if you'll take a seat, we'll get started.
Does that happen?
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. This is our last city council meeting for 2021. My name is Randy Powell. I'm Mayor Pro Tem for this quarter. We will sadly excuse Mayor Jeff Acerson. He snuck off and is getting some sun in parts unknown. We'll leave those undisclosed for the moment. But we'd like to welcome you out as we get settled in here. We'll go ahead with an invocation by Councilmember Jake Hoyt, and I've asked our Public Works Director Juan Garrido to say to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to gather together today as city council members, as staff, and as citizens of this wonderful city. We're thankful for the blessing that it is to live here in this great city, in this great state, and in this great country. We're thankful for the many blessings we have. We ask a special blessing upon all those who will participate in the meeting tonight. We ask that thy Spirit will be here, that we will be led and guided to the decisions that you would have us make, and we ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Thank you very much. As we get all settled in here, we'll go ahead with a roll call, and we'll start with Jake.
Jake Hoyt, present.
Mike Fancherry, present.
Randy Powell, present.
Carolyn Lundberg, present.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like to have the opportunity to bring Taryn Harmon forward. There you go, already. You have so many wonderful people with you as we get ready for this. Will you just tell us who's all with you, Taryn?
Oh, I got a lot of.
Yeah, well, they're here and they took the effort. We want to make sure we get to recognize them.
For sure. So I have my police department family all in the back row. They're all walking in. And then I have my husband's family all here with me, his parents,
his siblings. And then I have my family here, of course, and my grandma, and my mom and dad, and my sister, and my sister-in-law.
Yay.
So, lots of people here.
Well, we're so excited to have you here, Taryn. I know you've been with Lindon for a long time, and we so appreciate all the things that you've done. Well, I'll bring Chief Brower forward, and I'd like him to tell us a little bit about what's happening tonight and all of the wonderful things we're hearing about you.
Well, let's not go too far. So we're here tonight to have Taryn sworn in as a special function officer. She just completed the first part of the Law Enforcement Academy, which gives her duties and responsibilities and certification to perform certain functions. Part of that will be training, so she'll start that phase, and then she begins the second block of her academy, the LEO block, next month. And then she'll obtain her full certification, LEO certification.
Law
So right
enforcement
now she can
officer.
go with- Yeah, so right now she can go with her other staff and learn and hopefully get some valuable skills there. But I just want to tell you briefly, Lynn sent her to the academy with the expectations of doing well, and she has done extremely well.
Right, sir.
She was appointed lead of her class. You started out with how many?
35.
35 participants, cadets in the academy. She also recently took her final and scored the highest that they've seen in a while. So we got us a pretty smart young individual here who's going to do really well and wherever life takes her. So we're excited for her.
Well, should we go ahead now with the oath of office?
Make you official. This is gonna make me cry. I've known Taryn since she was just living. Long time coming. Okay, move this forward. Okay, raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name. I, Taryn Herman, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. There you go.
She's asked that her dad pin her badge on, so we're going to allow that.
Wonderful.
Then I need your signature, Taryn, before you go in. Great.
We should have some patriotic music playing in the background, right? I should have thought ahead.
Too hard for the pin.
Yay. So this is a special opportunity. Is there anybody you'd like to have your picture taken with here before you sit down to commemorate this?
Yes, I would love to take a picture with my husband and with the chief as well.
Wonderful.
And with my dad.
And your mom.
Yes.
Come on.
All of the above. Everybody.
Can we turn the screen off a little bit there?
Can we do you guys as well? Is that okay?
You bet. Yeah.
Please.
We want to.
Thank you. I really appreciate all your support.
Oh, we're excited for you. This is a part of the project we're worried for the just.
Yes.
Bounce it out.
Thank you so much.
We so appreciate everybody coming out and being part of this.
Yeah, give it with your parents. Yeah.
Don't forget.
And I can assert that she knows how to use a pair of handcuffs already. Because she had to arrest me for the Miss Pleasant Grove.
I did.
Yes. And I had to get,
As we pay tribute here to this special occasion for him, I also like to maybe let us show our appreciation for all of our local law enforcement here in Lindon, Chief Brower and his whole staff. So. So that is our presentation. We encourage you to stay if you'd like to, but you are not going to be forced to. Taryn's not going to arrest you at the door. So, but thank you everybody for being part of that presentation.
so much.
Good job, Taryn.
As we excuse those who like to leave, also like to take the opportunity here as a council to again say much appreciation for all the years of service by Jeff Acerson, our mayor. I served with him as a council member for 2 years, and then as our mayor for 4.5 years as a council member. I know each of us have had great experiences with him, and if you have 30 seconds you want to say anything about that, go ahead.
No, I told him at his farewell luncheon that I have not known city council without Jeff. He's been here the entire time that I have, 8 great years together, and what a great example, mentor. The city has been so blessed to have him be a part of it and his unique way of leadership, and he will be missed.
Well, I told Jeff too how much I appreciate when I came in, he was so kind and really nice to show me the ropes, and to, I'd have frequent one-on-one meetings with him just to kind of get the feel, lay of the land, and he was always generous in offering his advice and his counsel, and giving constructive criticism, which I asked for. And he just really was a mentor and continues to be, and I just appreciate all that he's done for the city and for the citizens of Lindon. He will be missed.
Those are great comments, all very true. Mayor Acerson, for me, also a wonderful mentor. When I first came on council, I said, exactly what should I expect as far as how much time does this take or what's involved? And he said, it's what you make it. And I have appreciated so much watching him make it something that he really does have the heart of a servant for the community. And he also allowed us as council members to serve in those areas that we were most passionate about and that we could really bring something to the table. He's not a micromanager. He's been someone that's allowed us to stretch and grow, and I really appreciate about that. And I know he will be an icon in our community. Still, he's not going anywhere, so we're lucky to have him and to be walking into things being run in such a fantastic way thanks to his legacy of service. So.
Thank you for all those comments. And Jeff, if you're watching, we wish you were here this last time for sure. As we go forward, we'll go with council reports, and again, we'll start with Jake. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did skip that. And yes, with the presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead with the approval of the minutes for, this is for November 15th?
It's actually
Nope.
December 6th. Sorry, it wasn't changed on the agenda.
Okay. I was thinking that was wrong. Okay, thank you.
I had a chance to review those, and there was nothing that I could see of any consequence. I didn't necessarily look for grammatical errors or anything, but there was nothing that I saw that might need changing.
I agree. Well done.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 6th council meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mike Vancherry for that, and a second by Carolyn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous. Okay, so going forward now, we'll start with the council reports.
You bet. I spoke to Heath before this meeting. Parks and Rec has been very, very busy. A couple brand new traditions to Lindon this year. That have been an absolute blast. But I think we're through the busy part and into kind of the slower part, right, Heath? which is good. He deserves a Christmas break. But appreciate Parks and Rec, their efforts there to really make a mark on Christmas in Lindon. I think we've done an excellent job this year, and I'm proud of it. So great job. I have nothing else to report. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. I was fortunate enough to have a Zoom meeting on Friday with Adam and Juan and myself and two gentlemen from, oh gosh, their name escaped me. The recycling, we had talked a while ago about the recycling software. We had about an hour meeting, and they made some presentations to us, and I think we'd actually set aside a placeholder in the budget in case that worked out. As it turns out, Juan was kind enough to share with us that on our Text My Gov, that we have quite a few resources available to help us with recycling, and if we could make just a few adjustments to our program. We were looking at about $10,000 a year for their program. Recollect, that's what they're called, yeah. About $10,000 a year to their program, and with this Text My Gov and the things that we can do, it's considerably less, and we already are paying for that. So kudos to Juan for his ingenuity and helping us set that straight. So the decision has been made, and we'll get back with these good folks that while we appreciate it very much, we're probably not going to take advantage of their program. So that was a highlight for me, especially since I set the Zoom meeting up, which I never thought in this lifetime I'd be able to do, but I did it. It was awesome. Neil Schwindeman came over to my home today. We had a great visit just about plans. Our master plan for the North Point Solid Waste Special Services District is in process, and we've got some things we have to make some decisions on, but I think I mentioned last time that we're healthy financially. The landfill is doing well. The construction and demolition landfill are all making, well, we won't say a profit. We call it revenues in excess of expenditures for a public entity, but doing well. I did speak with our mayor-elect, Carolyn, about some of my responsibilities. I have been tasked to be on the general plan committee, which I'm nothing. We've done nothing on that, which is okay, but it's about time to get going on that. And I think, Mike, if I'm representing you correctly, we're looking possibly for some funding sources to launch that. And I felt like, honestly, with the fact that I'm now serving in another time-consuming capacity, that probably would, the new person would probably be a good fit, depending on who that was, to sit on that general plan committee. And I will continue my other responsibilities with the approval of our mayor-elect. So, planning and zoning, what can I say? They're the best. They take care of people. They give them the answers, sometimes not the answers they want, but the answers they need. And I've never seen anyone get upset because the information is fair and accurate, and so I appreciate that. I really enjoy attending the Development Review Committee meetings. That's really an eye-opener for me, and I have learned a great deal. So thank you all, and that's Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you. For my council board, I don't really have anything to report to the councilor, just a couple of interesting thoughts. First off, as we go forward, perhaps thinking about as a council, I'm not sure the appropriate way to go through this, but that we perhaps add a council member to the Legislative Policy Commission. And so as we go forward, I don't know if that's something we can talk about, doing that in our first council meeting, to add perhaps a council member to that, whether it be a voting or non-voting capacity. I know that we've missed that opportunity in the past to be part of what both Adam and the mayor have been a part of, and you'll go forward with that, of course, Carolyn, but maybe to see where, I know it's a voting process that we have to do, but that's a thought that perhaps we'd like to add one of our council members to be part of that discussion. And so not bringing that forward for us to discuss, but just to think, would you be wanting to discuss that at some point in the future, in the close future?
We've been discussing that, and I think the time is, I agree, is
To add,
appropriate, yes.
to add a council member to.
Right, so that is in the works.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have a friend in Spanish Fork City Council, now mayor-elect down there, and he cut his teeth there and was the president of the League of Cities and Towns, friend of ours.
Mendenhall,
And,
yeah.
and he and I got into this conversation about that and mentioned that exact thing, that that's a good way to do it. Have a council member, the more the merrier,
And-
more
and
representation
We
we
can
have
have
up there.
three, but we can also have non-voting participation by other
Exactly.
council members. And I think we've missed that opportunity in the past, so.
Thank you, well noted.
Thank you. And then just got to put high kudos again, dovetailing off of what Jake had to say. Thank you, Keith, and the whole Parks and Rec staff. Just done a superior job in getting us through this wonderful, wonderful season. And just, you know how I feel about you, but I need to say it publicly. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So, and then Carolyn.
Yes, I am experiencing the results of a grandbaby teething and catching the cold. So anyway, enjoying that just in time for the holidays. Regarding our waste services, Reese DeMille with Republic Services, Mike, we did meet a bit. I had a question for him about green waste and about what were the possibilities for Lindon to have a green waste can. And currently, apparently, they don't process things. They were, in the past, receiving too much, and it wasn't really being used as future mulch. And then was informed that that material actually is essential as part of the breakdown of the other waste that goes into the landfill, and you're nodding your head.
Yeah,
in
I was
agreement with that.
just going to mention to you, I pursued that with the board when we met last time, and especially with Neil. We don't really have a large capacity to process green waste at the transfer station. We do process some. Right now, we've got Tucker Landscaping who comes and mulches it, and then we have a contract with them to where they buy it from us, and then they sell the mulch to the public or use it in their own operations. As it turns out, a lot of green waste, primarily grass clippings and things like that, are coming in from the curbside pickup, and they're just being dumped into the general trash and mixed in with it, which apparently is not a bad thing.
Right, they said for
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
breakdown,
told.
it's helpful.
Yes, so,
But I know some residents have indicated they might enjoy having a separate can for the clippings. So at this point, they can just have an extra black can. But and then he mentioned also they've had significant labor cost increases, as everyone has. They will be assessing that and coming back to us next year when they kind of report on their contract. They may or may not need a bump, but we're in a contract regardless to a certain end of time. So, and then chamber board meeting, we met this past week, kind of planning out the year, events and activities. Things are going really well. There's a gala coming up on February 9th for all the council members to attend. It's a very nice event, and there will be a fundraiser there. February 9th. And they do an auction, and I've asked them this year for the auction. It will raise funds for Pleasant Grove and Lindon both to split. And so for the portion for Lindon, we're going to have that go to our junior officer program and our mayor's youth council that we're standing up this year to help those two programs get started for our youth here in the city. So it's a pretty exciting thing. Chief Brower will have more information about that at the new year that he's going to be introducing with his junior officer program. Some great things coming there. And then also Mayor Asterson's open house was wonderful. I just wanted to thank Kathy Moosman, who always is behind the scenes making things just fantastic. Beautiful decorations, nice. She just puts on such a great job. Lots of people from the community came out, and he deserves a lot of thanks. Also, Mike, Florence, and I attended the EDC Utah event, connected up with their Sure Sites coordinator. She plans to hopefully come out here and tour Lindon, again, to look at some just get a lay of the land of what we have to offer for potential, companies and partners that might be looking for places to locate in the state. And then also Questar's economic development coordinators also maybe paying a visit. And one of the things I mentioned to them was we'd love to always be on the same page with whatever improvements they're doing to coordinate with our planning department. So with our roads or whatever we're doing, we don't have what happened on State Street repeat, brand new street cut into again. Anyway, and so fantastic to have Taryn sworn in, our own homegrown, and love these kinds of things that Chief is helping facilitate, and hopefully we can continue to do these things where the community supports our first responders and our police, and help bring that excitement and respect among the younger folks here in the community. So love to see those things, and we're really proud of her and to hear her accomplishments. And that's all I have for now. And we're going into a holiday, and so also Merry Christmas. I see many of our department heads here, so thank you for being here this busy night.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you for also recognizing all the hard work that Kathy has put into making sure that she does so much for us behind the scenes, but for what she did in Mayor Acerson, and that book that you put together, that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was beautiful. So
Might we pass a resolution or even an ordinance that she can't leave?
oh,
She's not allowed to retire.
I think her husband would say otherwise.
Get our attorney on that.
Not a test about one.
But we can at least have an appreciation of all that she does. Thank you for all you do, Kathy. So our administrator report, our administrator is under the weather. Will you be able to run us through that, Mike, do you think, or?
Yeah, he didn't. We checked with him and he didn't have anything that couldn't wait till the next.
Okay, sounds good, except for I will make sure that you know that you have the newsletter for next month, correct? So I just see it here in his notes, so we appreciate all that staff does and all that Adam does for us, and we hope that he feels better. So this time that is our public comment section, and most of our public did leave, but I see a few here. If anyone would like to come forward and express anything that's actually not on the agenda, we have one public hearing that will be happening on agenda item 8. But if anything else is, if you have something, come forward and come to the mic and
Come on forward, Leanne.
and then make sure that everybody knows your name and address for the records.
I know you, man.
Yes.
I know. So, okay, my name is Leanne Whetton. I live in West Lindon, and we've lived here a long time, and we really like it. And thank you to everyone that makes Lindon a really great place to live. And, but I have one thing I'd like, well, I actually have two things, but I'll start with one thing that I'd like to address tonight. And that is, I think we need to, and I don't know how to make this happen. I'm going to tell you, and then, well, whatever. I think there needs to be a policy change in our elections. And so a few years ago when, and so the reason it's coming up is it's happened twice in like 6 years, where we had a mayor being elected, and we had a council member who was not up for election running for the mayor without saying they're not going to stay on the council if they don't make it to the mayor, which leaves then a spot on the council open that's not elected. And I know you're really aware of this because you've been a part of this 2 times now. Anyway, I think that if you're going to run for mayor, or I don't know if there's other things to run for, but if you're going to run for mayor, which leaves that you should like drop your seat and say, I'm running for mayor. And then that seat on the council can be an elected place rather than, because, I know we live in a nice little place, but it could be interpreted as you actually get to choose your replacement by doing that. I mean, it could look bad. It's probably not bad, but it could look bad, and we don't like that. So what I'm saying, does that make sense, or do I need to keep talking?
I understand where your point.
Yeah.
is what you're trying to have us, what you're trying to articulate.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, that's something I've heard of. I don't know that it's ever been legislated, and I don't know if it can be legislated. I know that, again, going back to our friend at Spanish Fork, he said, hey, you always give up your seat when you're running for mayor. I don't know that it's code or if it's just an unwritten law down in Spanish Fork.
They
That's
just
what
know
they
to do it, and we don't know to do it, so now we need
Not
to know
necessarily
to
that
do
we
it?
don't
or-
know. It does put a lot of pressure on us, but in these next few meetings, we have the task as a council, not as the mayor.
So I will
She
not be
won't have a
voting.
vote,
Oh, that's good.
with the exception of a tie, right? And so there will be 4 voting members choosing from those who apply.
so
And if-
there is that.
if there were 2 that wanted one candidate, 2 that wanted the other, 2 would motion a second, it didn't pass, there was a tie, then in that scenario, she would have the power to vote.
But it's not it should be an at-large election. I know that might put off, the every 2-year schedule that you've got going. I don't know, it just feels.
At this, so I think we understand what you're talking about. I don't think we can solve that, but we can probably add a little bit more light, and I think Brian could probably give us a little bit of background on how both typically and traditionally and legally that these things happen. If you could maybe come to a mic or something.
Yeah, so right now, the candidate qualifications are completely controlled by state statute. So for us to try and pass an ordinance that says if a sitting council member chooses to file a candidacy for mayor, they have to resign, that's probably outside the preview of what authority we have as a city. That's something that would probably, now, general policy, that's something that can be debated, and I'm sure that's what happened in, maybe it's an unwritten rule, but I would be very, very surprised. I don't know Spanish Fork's code, but I don't believe that they could have something like that because candidate qualifications is a state legislative action, so.
Well, Leanne, I would say this, having gone through the process of filling a council vacancy myself, my first year I served by appointment.
Right.
At least from my standpoint, the process was very fair, I felt like. There were 13 candidates, 2 actually dropped out at the last moment, so there was 11. And I feel like we were sufficiently baked, grilled, boiled, and fried as far as our qualifications and what we had to offer to the community. And I appreciate what you're saying. It may give the appearance of favoritism, but I can tell you, knowing this council the way I do, I don't think we have any hidden agendas.
I think, a good point you bring up is, I think that council members should be elected. It gives the power to 4 people rather than the 10 to 11,000. I don't think there's a legal, lawful way for us to do that. I think that maybe it fits within the scope of a mayor. It's hard because the mayor would be running for re-election, but maybe within the mayor to say, hey, there's some cities where they say you should step down and run. If you would like to do that, you should. It would allow for it to be an elected position versus
An appointed.
So in a scenario where Carolyn would have stepped down, could we have done an election as part of the regular election for her 2-year seat, as part of that election on November 2nd?
Yeah, what would happen is as soon as she steps down, we would appoint someone to fill her position
To the end of,
until the general election, and that has to be decided.
It becomes
Can she be
Has to
appointed
be decided before June
till then?
1st.
Like,
So
that appointment.
So that's going to be really tricky because
Yes.
she's deciding, or a candidate is deciding whether or not to run for mayor, and they file their application to run for mayor. We have to, if we don't have the appointment finished by June 1st, that appointment goes 2 years anyway, just the same as.
And that's the thing that I wanted to bring up. It's
Right.
very important to understand all the logistics and the way the cogs turn on this is that if somebody still have more than 2 years left, there's always a special election until the next. So if with Carolyn's, her term would be up in She would be up for reelection in '23 if she was to have stayed on this. So she would have been, if she would have not come out the winner in this election, she would have come through in '23. If whoever it is only going to come through till '23 when the election is up. There's been other times when that need for a special election because there's 3 years left in a term, or, you know, just fill in the blanks here on this equation. So it's only a 2-year that an appointment can be done, and it's done by elected officials, of course, and it's always not it's not a perfect situation, but it does work out. That is the best that we have in our system here. And if you try to go that route, I can see that if somebody had to step down, then you have from the time of typically the first week of June, when the election season is filed, if somebody has to declare that they're no longer in office, then you have this period of time where you're not being represented as a full council, then you have to appoint, and then you have the election, and so there's this ripple effects that I guess might be considered unintended consequences of trying to make this a little bit more. And I think the legislative have given full effort to try to do it the best that they can. And we just hope that Lindon, the purpose is Lindon always to be served as best as possible. Okay. But I totally understand. I think the council understands where you're, what you're trying to tell us. And so I shall appreciate you bringing those thoughts and concerns to us. And it's something that we'll definitely keep our ear to the ground on, making sure it's as best as can be. And then you said you had a second point.
So so it's just, thank you for your explanations. Obviously, there's things I don't understand, and I don't know from the outside looking in, my perspective.
Well, we're grateful that you are looking for additional knowledge there.
Yeah. Okay, so my other one is not on the same subject at all. So in our current crazy situations of our world right now, I noticed that recently I think it's the mayor of Riverton made I don't even know all the right words to say. I actually printed it off and I couldn't find it when I was getting ready to leave tonight. He wrote a letter saying the city of Riverton, this is how I interpreted it, is not going to make any mandates about anything.
Okay.
I think Lindon should do the same thing. I know that the world's like this, and the more people that say, let's just live like free citizens of the United States, and in Lindon, no mandates. Do what you think is best for you. Don't you think that's a great idea?
Does that include, for example, we mandate in the foothills,
Oh,
we mandate areas where you can't,
Fireworks.
oh, no. I'm talking about
that's
masks, only masks and shots. Right now, in the craziness, that nobody has to wear a mask or get a shot to keep living and breathing.
Can I say, just as a council member, and I guess I'm going to just take my opportunity as Mayor Pro Tem this time, that we can be very diverse up here, and I've never once, I would think that you and I are kind of soul sisters on some of those topics. I've never once felt
coerced.
Yeah, coerced or made feel different for wanting to be who I needed to be. And I have to just assert to you that this council, and as we sit right now, and I anticipate what we're going to be on June 3rd of 2022, it's going to be making sure that our citizens are protected on any level, that we're going to honor each other as we are and not to force who we aren't and want to be.
Okay.
Does that give you any
Don't
comfort?
you think we should make a declaration so everyone knows in Lindon we're free?
Yeah.
I think we do try to live that, and I can see where your concern is that we need to make that a public statement, but I almost feel like having to make it a public statement makes it seem like we are trying to be normal, which, why do we have to make a pronouncement that we need to be normal?
Because
all we want to
nothing's
do
normal, that's why.
But I guess I want to hang on to the fact that we are normal, and I don't have to make a statement. But that's just me personally. I can't speak for the rest of the council or our mayor-elect, what she's looking forward in the future. But I can say that, and maybe I don't want to cut anybody off, but I think that those kind of concerns are always, and I speak to you, anyone here in the audience, anyone watching this on our YouTube channel, if you have concerns, we're always available for discussion and on our email accounts. That's a great way to come forward, and I appreciate all your effort, courage, and everything else to sit in that seat and be, be able to be so articulate in your concerns, Leon. I so appreciate that. Is there anything that the council would like to add to
Say
that?
one more thing. I've learned in my brief but illustrious political career, by making one decision, by default, you make another decision. And someone's not going to be happy regardless of the decision that you make. And so your point's well taken. I lean towards your way of thinking. People are agents. They can choose their own way. That's a personal opinion. But, I think regardless of what we do, someone, the maskers and the vaccine believers are going to be unhappy if we make a blanket statement saying don't do it, or.
Oh, no, this is not, nobody has to do any, there's nothing.
I understand.
Just don't mandate it,
There's
is what you're saying.
nothing. Just keep breathing.
I don't know how to,
living.
so.
I think philosophically, you'll find pretty like-mindedness up here. We love to educate over legislate. We often decide, is this the proper role of government? Should we be doing this? Those are questions we ask up here pretty often. There's several examples that come to my mind where, whether it was staff or other cities that were going the mandate or the legislative route, that we just said, no, let's pump the brakes. That's probably not our proper role. So, but appreciate you coming up here today.
Okay.
Yes.
2 points,
I
that's
think,
it.
Thank you,
we
Leanne.
do have crazy times, and when we feel our personal freedoms are being encroached upon, we do need to sometimes, make a
Well,
stand
and that's
and
part
work
of what
together.
it is, like, can we just little proactively say, no, you're not gonna,
This is a perfect example. I have a cold. I have an immunocompromised friend. Potentially I'm going to choose to wear my mask.
and I
So-
think that's wonderful
But
that
I
you get
believe
to
that we get to
choose.
choose. Right.
Thank you so much, Leanne.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Keep
you.
your
Thanks, Leanne.
Good work, keep it up.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council this time? Okay, seeing not, I guess we'll go ahead with, we don't have a consent agenda, so we've got a public hearing. Item number 8.
All motion to open a public hearing.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll go ahead with you, Keith. Thank you.
I think most of these items are fine except one, so I communicated with Adam that I would come, let you know if there are any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
We, as a staff, have found some little areas and loopholes that we need to try to straighten out with our fee schedule. And they have to do with the pool, the community center, and the vets hall. So in the additions section, we would like to add a key return late fee for more than 2 days. We have a limited number of keys, and if they're out, especially during the holiday time, we need to be able to make sure people get a bite if they don't follow through with us. A lost key is $100 for those who don't bring it back at all.
You just thinking at the vets hall, you're gonna be unilateral to the community center?
So far, it's been an issue down there, and what we're doing there is we're actually investigating right now, Adam and Alex and our staff, maybe going to proxy keys on some of those doors with fobs.
Yeah.
The reason is if we lose a key at the community center, we're rekeying. And if we lose a fob, we cancel the fob, and it's $5.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at that right now, and maybe some other doors as well in other buildings. It's quite a price to get it installed, but we have those fobs on our parks bathrooms now, and it's really slick and easy. So the aquatic center, some changes. We talked with the council about this being a good time to maybe increase the rental rate. Alan has sent out a letter to all of our renters and mentioned that the council was considering a fee rate increase. We brought to you $550 or $600, and then after the discussion, we felt that $600 would be appropriate per hour, and that includes the flow rider. So not so many different things. We want to sell beer. There's a beer license. No, that's not mine. That's Mike's, really, the beer license. Yeah. On the other rentals, the community center, we've just changed some words. Assigned agreement and rental fee are due upon the time of reservation. We used to carry a deposit, but we were running into an issue. Holding checks and processing credit cards. The credit cards are not too bad now that we can back those out, but we were holding cash and checks for more overnight, which is no bueno. So we've just kind of gotten away from that. Now that we've got video cameras over there, we can keep track of who was in there and when. And if there was damage done or if they didn't leave it clean, we know who it was. So, and then you'll see the other red writing on that. Failure to clean as per the rental agreement will result in additional charges as determined by Alex, the facility manager. Saturday rentals are required for a 2-hour minimum and will be limited to 1 group per rental per day. So that would be like if somebody rents the gym on a Saturday, we're not going to put another gym in behind them and double that rental, because that requires a custodian, that requires some staff to be there. But somebody else could rent a different room or the Cultural Arts Auditorium. It just kind of keeps that condensed. Let's see, the rentals for the Veterans Hall, additional charges for failure to clean. We found that a lot, and we want Alex to be able to, Alex is doing most of the checking and custodial for that, and Alex would like to go in and pull the tape and say, you cleaned or you didn't clean, you need to get hit. And then exceeding the rental time, $25 for every 30 minutes past the scheduled time. That would be an increase on that for Alex's time and custodial supplies and whatnot. There are a few deletions that I wanted to point out. One particular deletion that we would like to present is the community center fee waiver and reduction policy. Since we instituted that, a scholarship, so to speak, where folks who didn't have the money could come and apply for a scholarship, and I could bring it before you and they could have a reduced or free rate. I haven't had one in 4 or 5 years. Adam has mentioned to me before that we want to get above the board on sweetheart deals and just freebies and just let things be as they be, as the fee schedule that the council approves. So I wanted to make sure that you understood that that was the policy that we're talking about getting rid of. And then a failure to delete the failure to return the key. We're just going to hit them with some money instead of a forfeit of deposit. Mike, did you have?
The change on the beer licenses, our alcohol ordinance requires that the city recorder approve the local consent, but the fee schedule said that the council would have to approve each license, and so we're just going with being consistent with what the ordinance says.
Thank you.
So by removing that rentals on the community center, there's no sweetheart deals.
No, there's not anymore, really. We've got BNI who's in there, and they pay a full rental instead of trade for service like they used to do.
Then that's been how many years that BNI's been doing?
They've been there for at least 5 or 6 and then took a year off and thought they had a better deal and came back to ours because ours was still better.
When they came back, that's when it's been on the fees, I mean,
Correct.
per the
Where
fee schedule. Okay,
they've
thank
been
you.
paying.
So Holy Cow pays the,
Oh, yeah.
Holy Cow is another program that's somewhat grandfathered in, because when we had the fee schedule at that time, we had 10% off for 5% off for being a chamber member, 5% off for using a full day rental, and the fee schedule has changed since then. So they're a little bit different in that their rate is adjusted, and we've just kind of considered them grandfathered when they took this long-term rental from us, that they would get that.
And they
Additional
anticipate doing this
10%.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah,
That's what I've
she's
understood.
probably, if she's watching, they're great to work with, and
Yes.
I think they do well.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, they do really well.
just for my edification, what do we charge them? If you know off the top of your head.
I don't, because of the adjustment.
Because of the adjustment.
But it's well, basically, I believe it's 10% from the rental rate after being in the chamber and then after having full day rentals. We do have, I think the way that we've got that set up is that you pay for an 8-hour day, you've got it. So I don't think they pay after 8 hours, you just have the full day rental instead of 8, 9, 10 p.m. But that's a good rental for us, and they do bring a lot of people to the city in sales tax, and they do well. They've almost outgrown us. No, they've outgrown us. I mean, she has so many vendors lined up, and she sells the hallways, which we always talk about, making sure there's good wheelchair access and stuff like that. But they're more than willing to help and adjust what they need to do.
Wonderful. Thank you, Heath. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. Jake, a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Carolyn. Take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. It falls. Going forward, any thoughts from the council on this particular item?
Just cleaning house, doing a good job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
As
That's what
usual.
I'm saying. These
Good
are
thoughts.
adjustments is what they are.
Yeah, we really felt like for the pool, it will help us. We're at maximum rentals, and we don't want to discount anybody. But as we've looked in, except Pleasant Grove and a few other littler pools, our pool is still less expensive than some of these big corporations are willing to pay, and our expenses have gone up with our lifeguards. So we thought that would be a good time to do it.
We've got full confidence in you. Just,
Thank you.
Yep.
don't ever be hesitant to bring these proposals to us as you run it, and you're the boots on the ground.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Keep us posted.
So we have a motion for this particular agenda item?
I'd like to, I'll move to approve Resolution 2021-25-R, approving the fiscal year 2021-2022 fee schedule amendments as presented.
Thank you,
I'll
Jake.
second that.
And a second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. None opposed. And we will go forward with our next item, which is review and action, voter participation areas and for this resolution. And we're going to turn to Brian for this one.
Okay, this should be pretty simple and straightforward. We're following a state mandate that we adopt this map that we adopted this in 2020, and we're required to update it. And we're required to have these 4 voter participation areas. It's specifically designed for initiatives and referendums from citizens. And so we're just proposing this. We did include a map in your packet that shows where our voter precincts are. So you can see that we've it doesn't match up exactly, but it looks like we're combining a number of precincts into each of these quadrants that we have set up. We will note that the county is still processing the data from the last few elections and the population. These 4 areas have to be fairly equal in population. We anticipate that we'll get an updated map again end of January, 1st of February, that we will need to do an amendment and re-adopt it. But state statute requires us to adopt this map before January 1st. So that's what we're doing. Any questions?
Will you explain to us the difference between the quadrants and the precincts?
Yes, okay, so the quadrants are designed under the state law. In order for a referendum or initiative to be put on the ballot, a certain percentage of the population has to vote for it. 11.5% in our city, for the size of city that we have. So when you count up all of, well, not vote, I apologize, the signatures for the initiative to get it on the ballot. So the signatures have to equal 11.5% of the total population of the city, plus 3 out of the 4 areas also have to get 11.5%. So if you've got a hot issue.
Not registered voters. This is residents.
This is voters who have participated in the last election.
But we still use the population of the city.
To establish the quadrants, we do.
Okay.
We establish that based on the population of the city, but then each quadrant has to have 11.5% of the active voters. They go back and they look at what it is to sign it. So if you've got a hot topic in one issue and you get 25-30% in that quadrant, signing that petition, and it equals 11.5% of the city, but your other 3 quadrants don't vote for, or you don't get those signatures,
Still
it
has to be
fails.
three-quarters
So-
of the quadrant. so-
Right, so it's just making sure that issues that are coming through the initiative process really are issues that appeal and are necessary, or, you know, there's a motivation for basically the whole city. It's a citywide issue, not just a neighborhood or special interest group. That's basically why the legislature adopted it.
No, my time on the council, I've never seen an initiative, a referendum come forth. Do any of you remember
No,
a time when?
I've never seen one either. They're starting to become much more popular. There were a number of them in some of our neighboring cities that kind of led to this legislation. This was adopted back in 2020 or 2019, so that's where we're at.
And these are only pertaining to city referendums, not to statewide
Correct.
or county, or
Right.
those are done by the
Yeah, they have their
quadrants
own
of
rules for
their own
those, yeah.
systems.
Yeah.
We're here for a motion?
Any other comment by the council, concerns? Okay,
All right, seeing none, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-26-R, approving the voter participation areas map as presented.
thank you, Mike. Second by Carolyn, and take a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? We'll go forward with that. Thank you so much, Brian.
Okay.
Carolyn gets the next motion.
And so we're going to go ahead with number 10, which is, Brian's going to lead us out on this one as well, this review and action for the opioid settlement agreement.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the city to participate in a national settlement with a number of, I just went blank on the name. It's not the Purdue Pharmacy. That one was just
Johnson &
rejected.
Johnson.
It's Johnson & Johnson Pharmacy and a number of their distributors to address the opioid epidemic. And the state has reached a settlement. A number of counties have also sued these entities and are looking into joining this settlement. And basically, how much money the state gets depends on the participation that the cities throughout the state. If the state were to close this on its own and just sign off without any cities participating or the counties joining, they would come out with about $150 million that will be distributed over 18 years. If they get full participation from all the counties and cities that are eligible, you have to have at least 10,000 residents or more to be eligible to participate in this. If they get full participation, that figure jumps to 309 million, so about doubles. Now, I will note, our city doesn't have any treatment centers. This money is designated specifically for treatment and prevention. There will be some funds that may become available for training our officers on how to help people find resources. We may get some Narcan equipment to help with overdoses and things like that. But we're not going to see a significant amount of revenue coming into the city because we don't have those types of facilities and organizations.
What about reflections?
Those are private, and there's maybe.
Oh, you're talking public. Okay.
Yeah. These are public operations, like the county health department runs them, and most of these operations are done at a state and county level. But our participation helps those funds go up. So we're recommending that we approve this resolution that would authorize the city's participation, and also then either Adam or I could sign what other papers are necessary to go through that national settlement.
So when and if this gets dispersed up with enough participation by the different cities, is it then dispersed to the cities depending on their population or based on their programs?
They're still working through those formulas with the court, but it really will be a percentage-based calculation going to programs. So that's why we won't see a whole lot that way. So even if we had our own program and we're working it, we would still be capped by our population. So we wouldn't be entitled to a whole lot. But again, that's just a hypothetical.
Okay, get out the slide rule, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're old enough to know what a slide rule is.
Now, this resolution is going before all the cities currently, and many have already.
Right, many have already adopted this.
it.
We have to decide before January 2nd. So we're down to the last meeting.
Last
so.
meeting, that's
And from
right.
what I understood, it had to be a certain percentage of cities within the state also to be eligible, should it
Right,
occur.
right. That number, like I said, and once they get in, if we don't get enough, then we won't be involved at all. You know, if we don't get enough cities.
But it's anticipated that we will.
From my understanding in talking with the city attorneys that I associate with throughout the county here and with the League of Cities and Towns, speaking with their attorney, it looks like almost everyone is doing this, everyone that's eligible.
So those who are choosing not to, and as Brian and I discussed this beforehand a little bit, and that being maybe the large cities that have treatment programs run, like Salt Lake County
Yeah.
or Salt Lake City, that them opting out, it's not based on their population, just on them as a number? Or is it because of their population, is it drawing that out? You know, as we're trying to make a decision?
I think it's a combination of a number of
Okay.
factors. I'm not really, haven't been involved in those discussions per se, but again, talking with the attorney for the league, there are some just concerns that they want to be able to maybe control their own, and they have, Salt Lake County at least has engaged in litigation. They have their own lawsuit pending.
Right.
And so
They're
they're
separate.
doing a balancing act there, So, and we will note that if Utah County chose not to adopt this resolution and join in this, we wouldn't be eligible for funds there. But the indication is Utah County is on board.
Well, great efforts that have been made in a really devastating set of circumstances that was put into place by people that caused great harm to people that I know personally and people I've met through my times being with those at Reflections, as you mentioned, losing wonderful people to this horrible opioid crisis. A lot of efforts put to so many, and I have to offer great applause to our State Attorney General, Sean Reyes, and his team for their efforts in making sure that this has come forth. So that's my comment on it.
As you look at this is somewhat of a global thing that's happening, these consequences to these companies, certainly not just nationwide.
Right.
Whenever we get too excited about, potential monies, is there anything that you can see that there would be a reason that maybe this would not be a benefit, or we should always look at that and not be careful?
The only thing that we are doing, we do give up the right to bring our own lawsuit against these companies. But again, based on our size and budgets and frankly the impact, I don't think there's much that we're giving up there.
So communities where it's really been a huge impact,
Right.
that's why they are opting to pursue their
Exactly.
own.
Exactly.
Okay.
It does foreclose our own independent case against these types of entities.
Well, thank you very much. Any other thoughts?
Chief, just want to get your opinion. Any thoughts either way? Is this something we see a lot of in our community?
We do see a little bit here and there, not significant, but it does impact our community.
Yeah, I was just mentioning earlier, we don't see a lot of needles in the street. We don't see the paraphernalia hanging out there. But when I prosecute someone for shoplifting from Walmart or from Home Depot, at least 50% of the time, they're looking to get something that they can pawn to feed their habit, and so it does impact us for sure. But
Thank you very much. So if you don't have any other thoughts or comments, we can have a motion.
I would be happy to make a motion, Mayor Pro Tem Powell. I move to approve resolution number 2021-27-R, approving the opioid settlement agreement as presented.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Second.
Thank you, Jake, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, that carries. We're going to go on to, thank you very much, Brian, for that. Go on to our agenda item number 11 is a review and action for a job reclassification for the evidence custodian and the technician. And Chief Brower is going to walk us through this a little bit.
Yeah, so this is to reflect proper job responsibilities. So a little background on this, Taryn was serving as our evidence custodian, but she was classified in job description as a records clerk. So this is just clarifying those job descriptions. The police department didn't have an evidence custodian, evidence technician job description, so that was created. So what this does is separate, reflecting the job that that position actually does, which is maintain, process, dispose of evidence that comes into the facility. As mentioned previously, I think we have about 3,000 pieces of evidence around there. So this position is mostly doing evidence custodian job tasks and occasionally covering up front for lunch breaks, whatever, for the records clerk. So this is just an effort to classify that properly.
You're saying it's 83 cents an hour more?
Yeah, it's not much. I think the range for that evidence custodian went up from pay range 10 to 11.
Thank you. Any other thoughts and concerns, questions?
And if I could just reflect back on the last thing real quick, I wanted to highlight 2 weeks ago, we did have an officer respond to an overdose, perform CPR, and was able to get that individual back. Paramedics arrived with Narcan. So we do see some of those issues. I just want to bring up one specific incident related to.
It was EMT that had to show up and administer the Narcan, or do our officers have access to that person?
Yeah, we're getting Narcan for every officer coming in. He just got there quick, started CPR. Paramedics got there and had Narcan on, so
Nice.
worked out well.
Grateful for that.
But any other questions related to the evidence? I created that evidence custodian and then preparing for our future with the evidence technician in the case we need to improve and have the ability to send an evidence tech out to a scene to collect or process evidence on a major scene. So different qualifications, certifications related to that, but just want to prepare for that as well.
Great. And that posting will be right away?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Good.
Do we need an action on
Yep, this is an action item.
Don't have my training wheels on, don't have it on my.
Yeah, I didn't copy off the
I'd
right
be
one.
glad to take a stab at it.
Let's see, do I have it? No, I don't have it here.
Take a stab at it, Mayor Pro Tem.
Let's see if we do this. We're all kind of scrambling because this is an addition, huh?
Chief, while we're waiting, I want to thank you. My grandkids are just still over the moon about the badges and the tattoos and.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all the other stuff.
In the council agenda, revised council agenda, there's some
Here's some
potential.
Here, if you want to go ahead and take a,
Is there a resolution number?
It doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think we did that by resolution.
There's not a resolution. Okay, I move to approve the reclassification of the evidence custodian technician as presented by Chief Brower.
Second.
thank you, and I think that will work. Is that an okay motion for you, Brian? Perfect, thank you so much, appreciate, oh, wait, is that all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I got to finish that off, sorry. Carolyn, you're going to be able to do much better than I am
No, you're
next
doing
month.
fantastic.
So I haven't done this for probably 8 years. But thank you so much, Chief, for all that. And
Make a motion to adjourn.
you're going to do that because
Van's not here.
Van's not here, so we appreciate the van cherry getting in there for the van, Van Broadway.
got a
So I
van.
have a
There is
motion
some
to
van.
adjourn for the last time this year.
Take it. Last time as a council member.
There you go.
I'll second that.
Got
Thank you.
Carolyn as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, and Merry Christmas.
Hey, Jake, can I talk to you guys? Let's make sure the cam's off. I just
Okay.
another thing, one thing about you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks, guys.